Have you ever walked into a grocery store, looked at the price of beef, eggs, or even just a simple bag of coffee, and felt a sudden, sharp knot in your stomach? It is not just annoyance, it is a specific kind of panic. It is the sinking feeling that the ground is moving beneath your feet. You do the math in your head. You are working harder than you did 5 years ago. You are earning more numbers on your paycheck, and yet, the finish line keeps getting pushed further away. You tell yourself it's just the economy. You tell yourself it's temporary supply chain issues, or corporate greed, or maybe just bad luck. But what if I told you that feeling, that subtle, creeping anxiety, is not an accident? It is not a natural disaster like a hurricane or an earthquake. It is a feature. It is a designed, calibrated, and intentional mechanism. You are not just living through a rough patch. You are the target of the greatest silent heist in human history, and the weapon being used against you is the one thing you spend your entire life chasing: money itself. Most people think of inflation as prices going up. That is the definition they teach in school, and it is the definition you see on the news. They say, inflation is at 3%, as if it is just a weather report. But defining inflation as rising prices is like defining a fever as feeling hot. The heat is not the disease, it is the symptom. The disease is the intentional dilution of your life's work. When the government and central banks print new money, they are not creating value. They are stealing value from every existing dollar in your pocket. It is a transfer of wealth from the savers to the printers. To understand how this robbery happens, we have to look past the complicated jargon of economists. We need to visualize it simply. Imagine you and your neighbors are at a private auction, bidding on a single house. You all have exactly $100,000 in savings. The bidding is competitive, but it is fair because everyone is playing with the same resources. Now, imagine a stranger in a suit walks in. He doesn't work. He hasn't saved a dime. But he has a backpack, and inside that backpack is a machine that prints legal tender instantly. He walks in, prints $5 million on the spot, and starts bidding against you. What happens next? The price of the house skyrockets. Did the house get better? Did the roof turn to gold? Did the square footage double? No. The house is exactly the same. The only thing that changed is that your money, the money you traded your limited time and sweat for, is now worthless compared to his infinite supply. This is not a hypothetical theory. This is exactly what happens to you every single day in the global economy. Every time the money supply expands, your slice of the pie gets mathematically smaller. The government will tell you that inflation is low. They will point to the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, and say everything is fine. But you need to understand that the CPI is a manipulated statistic. It is designed to hide the truth. If the price of steak goes up, they remove it from the index and replace it with hamburger. If hamburger goes up, they replace it with soy. They call it substitution. They claim that because you are buying cheaper quality goods, your cost of living hasn't risen. They are literally measuring your decline in standard of living and calling it stability. They are gaslighting you with math. This is not a modern invention. This is history repeating itself. This is the oldest trick in the Book of Empires. 2,000 years ago, the Roman Empire destroyed itself the same way. The Roman denarius started as a coin made of pure silver. But emperors needed more money to fund wars and buy loyalty. So, they started melting down the coins and mixing them with cheap copper. They called it clipping the coin. By the end of the empire, the denarius was only 5% silver. The people thought they had money, but they were holding worthless scraps of metal. Prices soared, society collapsed, and the empire fell. Today, our leaders don't need to melt down metal. They have something much more efficient. They have a computer. They can type a few zeros on a screen, and billions of dollars of liquidity are born into existence in a fraction of a second. Now, here is the part that should make you angry. Here is the mechanism they don't teach in school, known as the Cantillon Effect. When new money is created, it doesn't magically appear in everyone's bank account at the same time. It enters the system at specific entry points. It flows to the largest banks, the hedge funds, and the government contractors first. These groups get the money while it is still potent before prices have risen. They use this new, cheap cash to buy hard assets. They buy real estate, they buy stocks, they buy gold. Because they are buying these assets with billions of dollars of free money, the prices of those assets go up. By the time that new money filters down to you, through your wages, maybe a year or two later, the damage is already done. The prices of the homes, the stocks, and the food have already adjusted to the new supply. You are paying the higher prices that they caused. They get the assets. You get the inflation. The elite get richer because of the money printing, while you get poorer because of it. It is a wealth transfer mechanism that flows upward, always upward. Let's look at the real-world cost of this. Think about your grandfather in the 1970s. He could likely work a standard factory job, support a wife and 3 kids, own a home, drive a car, and still save money. He didn't need a side hustle. He didn't need to trade crypto on the weekends. One income was enough. Today, you can have a dual-income household with 2 college degrees, working 60 hours a week, and you are still struggling to afford a down payment on a condo that is half the size of your grandfather's house. Are you lazier than your grandfather? No. Are you less intelligent? Absolutely not. You are vastly more productive. You have technology he couldn't dream of. But you are swimming upstream against a current that is designed to push you back. You are running on a treadmill where the speed is increased by 5% every single year. You are trying to fill a bucket that has a hole in the bottom. This is why everyone feels so tired. It is a deep, systemic exhaustion because your labor is being devalued in real time. There is a moment of realization that every financially awake person has. It is the moment you stop looking at the price tag and start looking at the currency. You realize that the house didn't get expensive. The dollar got weak. If you price a house in gold, or in barrels of oil, or in S&P 500 shares, the price of the house has remained remarkably stable over the last 50 years. It is only when you price it in dollars that it looks like a rocket ship. This is the illusion. They want you to think the stock market going up is good news. They want you to think your house value rising is building wealth. In many cases, it is not wealth. It is just accounting. If your house doubles in price, but a loaf of bread also doubles in price, you aren't richer. You are just holding more units of a dying currency. But why does the system work this way? Is it just incompetence? No. It is necessary for their survival. The global economy is built on debt. Governments have borrowed amounts of money that are mathematically impossible to pay back in real terms. The U.S. national debt is a number so large the human brain cannot actually comprehend it. If the government had to pay that back with valuable dollars, the entire system would collapse. So they have only one option: inflate the debt away. They print more money to make the debt cheaper to service. They are effectively paying back their loans with counterfeit money. And who pays the price for that? You do. You pay it at the gas pump. You pay it in your rent check. You pay it when you try to save for retirement. Inflation is a tax that no one voted for, and no one signed up for. It is the silent tax. I know this sounds heavy. It is easy to slip into nihilism to just say, well, the game is rigged, so why bother? But that is exactly what the target is supposed to do. The target is supposed to stay passive, keep working, keep saving in cash, and keep losing. But you don't have to be the target. Once you see the mechanism, you can stop playing their game and start playing your own. The wealthy do not hold cash. They hold assets. They understand that cash is for transactions, not for saving. Cash is a melting ice cube. Every day you hold it, it gets smaller. To win, you must convert your labor into things that cannot be printed. You need to build a defensive wall around your wealth using assets that have scarcity. First, look at equity. When you own a piece of a profitable business and inflation hits, what does that business do? They raise their prices. Their revenue goes up, and your stock value goes up with it. You are protected. Second, look at real estate. They are not making any more land. When money becomes cheap, debt becomes cheap. If you have a 30-year fixed mortgage, inflation is actually your friend. The bank's money loses value, but your asset gains value. You are paying back the bank with cheaper dollars. And finally, look at hard money. Whether you believe in gold, which has been money for 5,000 years, or Bitcoin, which is digital scarcity, the principle is the same. These are assets that no central banker can print on a Tuesday afternoon. We are living through a historical pivot point. The old rules of work hard, save cash, retire are broken because the money itself is broken. But the good news is that the tools to protect yourself are more accessible than ever before. You have access to global markets. You have access to financial education. You have the ability to opt out of the silent theft. It starts with a mindset shift. Stop measuring your wealth in dollars. Measure your wealth in time. How many months of freedom do you own? How many assets do you have that will work for you while you sleep? The system is designed to keep you running, to keep you chasing the next paycheck, to cover the rising cost of living. But you have the power to stop running. You have the power to convert your labor into something that lasts. The world wants you to be a passive consumer, absorbing the inflation, paying the hidden tax, and blaming yourself for not working hard enough. Don't give them the satisfaction. Understand the game. Recognize the theft. Don't save in the chips they can print. Own the casino. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed, which is why you need to build your own.